In this video, I'm going to name the worst MVPs in NBA history. This video will offend many people, but remember, this is my video and my opinion, so that's all that matters. It's also worth remembering that up until 1981, NBA players voted for the league MVP, not the media, which led to some ridiculous outcomes. With all that said, let's go. 1961, Bill Russell over Wilt Chamberlain. The biggest reason I can think Russell won MVP in 1961 was because the Celtics had the best record in the NBA, although Russell's individual production, at least offensively, lagged far behind his top contemporaries, especially one at his own position, Wilt Chamberlain. As you'll see, this was a common theme throughout Russell's career. Wilt had by far the best numbers, and his team went 46-33, which isn't bad at all, so he should have been the easy choice. 1962, Bill Russell over Wilt Chamberlain again. While the 1961 MVP robbery was bad, 1962 was criminal. Wilt famously averaged 50 points and 26 rebounds a game, while also having the best advanced stats in the league. It wasn't just Wilt though. Oscar Robertson averaged a hyper-efficient 30-point triple-double. Elgin Baylor averaged 38, 19, and 5 while serving in the military. Jerry West even averaged 31, 8, and 5. But there was Russell, who averaged 19, 24, and 5. Good numbers for sure, but nowhere close to any of the others, especially Wilt, that came away with the MVP once again. The biggest reason? His Celtics had the best record, 60 and 20. Disgusting. 1963, Bill Russell over Elgin Baylor. For the third year in a row, Russell won MVP largely for his team having the best record in the league, despite far inferior offensive production than his top peers. Russell averaged 17, 24, and 5 on 43% shooting, which are good numbers, but Elgin Baylor averaged a ridiculous 34, 14, and 5 per game on better efficiency, while the Lakers lost just 5 more games than Boston. So I don't buy any argument for Russell, especially one that centers around intangibles and defense, because the Celtics teams during Russell's career were stocked with future Hall of Famers. 1965, Bill Russell over Oscar Robertson. For the fourth time in 5 years, Russell won MVP over a more deserving peer due to the Celtics having the best record in the league. Wow, a Boston athlete getting overrated due to team results? Never seen that before. Russell averaged 14, 24, and 5 on 44% shooting. Again, good numbers, but far below the Big O's stellar 39 and 12 on 48% shooting. Jerry West also averaged a great 31, 6, and 5 on 50% shooting with great advanced stats. In my opinion, the reason why Russell won so many MVPs was because, as stated at the beginning of this video, players voted on the award during his career, and the rules stated players couldn't vote for themselves or a teammate, so players were lazy and just gave the biggest name on the best team their votes, which was Russell. Don't worry though, this is the last fraudulent MVP Russell won, so let's move on to other players now. 1969, Wes Unseld over Willis Reed. Easily one of the worst MVPs ever. Wes Unseld got 2 major boosts in voting to get him this award. Number 1, he was a rookie and brand new, and number 2, his team had the best record in the league. Sound familiar? Never mind the fact that he averaged just 14 points, 18 rebounds, and 3 assists per game on 48% shooting. Again, maybe players aren't the best people to vote on MVP. Overall, this was a pretty weak year for MVP candidates, but I would have given it to Willis Reed, who averaged 21, 15, and 2 and had the best advanced stats in the league for a 54-win Knicks team, just 3 fewer wins than Unseld's team. 1970, Willis Reed over Jerry West. The next season, Reed had a very similar year to his 1969 season, averaging 22, 14, and 2 on 51% shooting. Great numbers, but I would have given the award to Jerry West, not to be racist. West averaged 32, 5, and 8 on 50% shooting for a Lakers team that saw Wilt and Elgin Baylor miss extended time with injuries. West also led the NBA in points per game, PER, and win shares to show that his numbers weren't hollow or just a product of stat padding. West somehow never won any MVPs in his career, but that doesn't mean he didn't deserve any. 1973, Dave Cowens over KAREEM ABDUL-JABBAR. Bill Russell was retired by 1973, but that doesn't mean Celtics players still weren't wrongly winning MVP awards thanks to team record. That's what happened in 1973 with Dave Cowens and KAREEM. Cowens, who averaged 21, 16, and 4 for a 68-win Celtics team, arguably wasn't even the best player on his own team. Hello, John Havlicek. There is no argument for Cowens winning it over KAREEM, who averaged 30, 16, and 5 for a 60-win team. A pretty open and shut case here. 1976, KAREEM ABDUL-JABBAR over Bob McAdoo. I've spent most of this video shitting on guys who won due to team record, and I do believe record does matter, but less so when you're comparing players who were both on successful teams. It's a whole different thing when talking about players with great stats who play for losing teams who missed the playoffs. Enter 1976 KAREEM. He led the league in pretty much every advanced stat while putting up a stellar 28, 17, and 5 with 4 blocks per game averages. But the Lakers had a losing record and missed the playoffs. I just can't, in good conscience, give a guy who missed the playoffs MVP. I'm sorry, but I just can't do it. I'd give it to Bob McAdoo instead, who put up 31, 12, and 4 for Buffalo. 1978, Bill Walton over George Gervin and David Thompson. Portland was the reigning champions and the best team in the league in 1978, and Bill Walton was their best player. He won MVP, averaging 19, 13, and 5 a game. But the issue is he missed 24 games with injury, the most ever by an MVP. I would have given it to either runner-up George Gervin, who averaged 27, 5, and 4 for the Spurs, or third place David Thompson, who averaged 27, 5, and 5 for the Nuggets. 1989, Magic Johnson over Michael Jordan. Entering 1989, Magic Johnson was fresh off of his 5th title, but he had just one MVP, and it feels like voters tried their best to make sure he ended his career with as many MVPs as Larry Bird. Because from an individual standpoint, there's really no reason why Magic should have won this over Jordan. Magic had the advantages in assists per game and team record, and while he was great, no doubt, averaging 23, 8, and 13 per game. But MJ had the advantages in every other category while putting up a ridiculous 33, 8, and 8 on 54% shooting. Plus, I mean, come on, we all know MJ was the best player in the league. Stop it. 1990, Magic Johnson over Michael Jordan. It happened again the next year. Magic won his 3rd MVP to tie Bird while putting up worse numbers than Jordan. Again, Magic had the advantages in assists per game and team record while Jordan dominated everywhere else. Magic was great, averaging 22, 7, and 12, but MJ was superior, averaging 34, 7, and 6 on 53% shooting. The most questionable part of this season's voting was Charles Barkley finishing 2nd, not MJ. Barkley also got the most first-place votes and still didn't win, the only time that's ever happened in NBA history. 1993, Charles Barkley over Michael Jordan. Speaking of Barkley and Jordan, everybody remembers Barkley wrongly winning MVP over Jordan in 1993. Barkley had several things going for him. He rewrote the narrative of him being a team cancer in Philadelphia in his first year in Phoenix, leading them to the best record in the league, and also Jordan's Bulls, coming off of 2 straight titles, weren't as dominant in the regular season as they had been in 91 and 92. Barkley averaged a great 26, 12, and 5 per game, but Jordan was still the best, averaging 33, 7, and 6 with better advanced stats. Just like in 1990, MJ actually finished 3rd in the voting somehow, this time behind Hakeem. 1997, Karl Malone over Michael Jordan. When you hear about the worst NBA MVPs, one of the first that usually pops up is Malone over Jordan in 97. It is true, Jordan deserved MVP over Malone, but it's not one of the worst, at least going by the numbers. Malone averaged a very impressive 27, 10, and 5 on 55% shooting for a 64-win team. MJ put up 36 and 4 on 49% shooting for a 69-win team. The advanced stats are also close, although MJ had a slight edge there too. I would have voted for MJ. But remember, the MVP is a regular season award only, and Malone's 1997 regular season was certainly not as bad as many people make it out to be. 1998, Michael Jordan over Karl Malone. Blasphemy, right? Well, remember what I just said. MVP is regular season only, and going just off of the 1998 regular season, Malone was more worthy of MVP than Jordan. Both players' teams won 62 games. Malone averaged 27, 10, and 4 on 53% shooting, while MJ averaged 29, 6, and 4 on 47% shooting. Malone also had the better advanced numbers. If you included the playoffs, there's no question MJ would have deserved the award, but again, for the 3rd time, this is a regular season award only, and in 1998, Karl Malone was the 1998 regular season MVP to me. It's still fuck Karl Malone though. 2001, Allen Iverson over Shaquille O'Neal. AI's 2001 season is still talked about with such reverence by many due to the undersized shot chucker leading Philly to the finals. He also won MVP that year, although the numbers and common sense don't support that decision. AI averaged 31, 4, and 5 on just 42% shooting. He missed 11 games and Philly still finished 56 and 26. The best player in the league was once again obviously Shaq, who is fresh off of his first ring and only career MVP. In my opinion, he deserved MVP again in 2001 for putting up 29, 13, and 4 with 3 blocks per game on 57% shooting. Shaq missed 8 games and the Lakers also went 56 and 26. Shaq's advanced stats all destroy AI's, so to me, I would have voted for the best player who had the better stats. 2006, Steve Nash over LeBron James. Lots of people make fun of Steve Nash's MVPs, and while his 2005 one was very questionable, his 2006 one was blatantly wrong. Most people also say Nash robbed Kobe Bryant of MVP in 2006, and while I think Kobe deserved MVP more than Nash that year, it was actually LeBron James who was robbed the most in my opinion. Nash put up 19, 4, and 11 per game on great efficiency for a 54-win Suns team. LeBron averaged 31, 7, and 7 for a 50-win Cavs team. Kobe actually finished 4th in voting, averaging a great 35, 5, and 5 for the 45-win Lakers. So really this argument comes down to LeBron and Kobe. It's a toss-up to be honest. Their per-game stats, advanced stats, and supporting cast were all very similar. Kobe did play in the tougher conference, but I gave the slight edge to LeBron due to his superior all-around game. 2008, Kobe Bryant over Chris Paul. Nobody will admit it, but 2008 was basically a lifetime achievement award for Kobe. He had been so great for so long, and the media felt like they had to make sure he ended his career with at least one MVP on his resume. Kobe did once again have a great year, unsurprisingly, although it wasn't nearly as good as his previous 2 seasons where he didn't win. He put up 28-6-5 for a 57-win Lakers team, but the real MVP this season, in my opinion, was Chris Paul, who put up 21-4-12 with way better advanced stats than Kobe for a 56-win Hornets team. For what it's worth, New Orleans was outscored with CP3 off the court, while LA outscored opponents with Kobe off the court. If you're looking for value beyond box score stats, there you go. 2011, Derrick Rose over LeBron James. This one will be sure to ruffle some feathers. We all know deep down D Rose won the MVP in 2011 largely because people were still pissed at LeBron for going to Miami. LeBron still was the best player in the league and had better numbers and efficiency than Rose in basically every category besides assists per game. Rose's Bulls won 62 games compared to LeBron's 58-win Heat team, but the revisionist history that Rose carried the Bulls by himself is ludicrous. The Heat were 9 points better per 100 possessions with LeBron on the court, while the Bulls were just 2.7 points better per 100 possessions with Rose on the court. LeBron still impacted games at a higher level than anybody else in 2011, and he was robbed of the hardware to prove it. And finally, 2018, James Harden over LeBron James. Before I begin, let me state for the record that I am a major LeBron fan, and this is clearly a biased inclusion on my list. I know this. You don't have to take it seriously if you don't want to. Now that I've stated that, let me also state how I absolutely hate every single thing about how James Harden plays basketball. From a purely statistical standpoint, he deserved MVP over LeBron in 2018, but his style of play is such a disgrace I can't ever agree with him winning MVP. Even if there's a fire, all of his flopping and ref baiting made up a big portion of why he was so productive for so many years. It's not impressive even if it was highly effective. Harden is like Tom Brady to me. The stats are great, the accolades are great, and both get noticeably worse in the playoffs. By the way, it's not like LeBron wasn't great either in 2018. He played in every game while Harden missed 10, and he averaged 28, 9, and 9 on great efficiency while carrying a god-awful supporting cast to 50 wins. Give me LeBron over Harden in any scenario, even if Harden had better stats on the surface. Eat Arby's.